Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe at home. So guys, we all are aware by now that when we water our succulents, it is a universal rule that when the soil is completely dried, when the soil is completely bone dry, that is the only time we water our succulents. So in this video, we'll be talking about when not to water our succulent. There are certain instances wherein we do not water our succulents. We will be talking about that in detail in this video. Tip number one is newly purchased succulent. Now guys, whenever you purchase a succulent either online or on nursery, please do not water the succulent on the same day. Wait for at least 4 or 5 days before watering your succulent. Now guys, even we as humans, when we go to a different place or a different city, our bodies also take some time to get adjusted to the new environment, and the same goes to the plants as well. Now you'll have to give some time for the succulent roots to get adapted and for the succulent overall to get adapted to the new environment. Hence, refrain from watering at least for 4 or 5 days. Tip number 2 is repotting. Now guys, whenever you're repotting your succulents as well for XYZ reason, maybe the soil is not good or maybe overall there is some problem with your succulent and you want to repot your succulent to another pot, ensure guys both the soil in both the pots are completely dry before you move your succulent to the next pot. Now guys, it's very important because even though the succulent has been with you for some time, but now when you move your succulent to a new soil, the roots have to get adjusted. Even though if your soil mixture is the same, it will still take some time for the succulent to get adjusted to the new soil. Let the roots get relaxed into the soil, let them rest for a day because you have just repotted them, you have taken them out from the soil and you have put them in another pot. So during this time as well, you will not water, but here you can skip watering for at least 2 or 3 days before you start watering. But it's very important, as soon as you repot, do not water the same day. Tip number 3 is no roots. Now guys, this is only possible when you have cut your succulent because of maybe mealybugs or maybe because it was rotting or simply because it was getting stretched and hence there are no roots. Now in this case guys, you will not push the succulent deep into the soil, you'll just leave it on the upper layer of soil so that it's very easy for you to see when the roots appear. Now as there are no roots available on the succulent, hence you will not water until you see the roots coming out. Tip number 4 is removal of dry leaves. Now guys, it's very important to remove those dry leaves because over the time, if you leave it as it is, it can house to a lot of pests and insects. Apart from this, it also restricts the airflow in the pot. The stem area and the root areas also get clustered with these dry leaves. But guys, you have to remember, whenever you pull out the dry leaves, do not water the same day. I would suggest give a gap of 2 or 3 days before you start watering. Because guys, what's going to happen is once, even though that this is a dry leaf, you have pulled it out, there are chances that it could leave and cut on the stem. Now, I'm not saying that this will happen every time, but there is a small possibility of your succulent getting rotted if the water comes in contact with the cut. Now I am saying this from my experience because in past I have made the same mistakes and I have lost couple of succulents just because of this reason. Now guys, though I'm not able to see that there is going to be an evident cut under this portion that I've just pulled out the leaves. Now I am going to make sure that I will not water this spot for another 2 or 3 days till the wound gets healed. So I'm going to leave it aside. Now guys, that I know that it will be raining very soon, hence I have placed my succulent under a roof or a shade. Now guys, keeping it underneath this will not solve the complete problem because when it rains there is a lot of wind and breeze that might carry water droplets. In this case, the water droplets might come in from here, so I have to be very careful because I have just pulled out the leaf. So what I do in this case is I tend to use a plastic in order to protect it from the rainwater. Now this is a very good idea to cover your succulents in this way. So guys, that brings us to tip number 5, that are rains. Now guys, when it is raining continuously in your city, for example, if it's even raining for 2 or 3 days, I would advise you to not water your succulents during this period of time. Now guys, as I said, that just keeping your succulents under a shade might not help. There might be chances that this water might come in contact with your pot. So always be careful whenever you see it's raining very heavily. Avoid watering your succulent pot at this point of time. Tip number 6 is when the soil is still moist. Now guys, at times you might notice that the upper layer of your soil is completely dried, but there are chances that the soil beneath is still moist. Now if you continue to do this practice of watering your succulents without letting your soil completely dry, this will in turn cause overwatering, and there are high chances that your succulent will rot. So that's the reason why guys, you have to make sure that your soil is completely dried from beneath. And now this will be a very common phenomena in the monsoon season. Your upper layer of soil will dry, but beneath it will take some time. Tip number 7 is beheading of the succulent. Now guys, a lot of people have been asking me questions about beheading. I have already made a video, but I will still give you a small detail about it. Now guys, I am not beheading any succulents right now because of the monsoon season. So this is a beheading that was done a couple of months back. Now guys, when you behead the succulent, you're gonna have two parts. One is the crown area and one is the stem area that's already in the soil. Now guys, you will only water the stem area once the cut or the wound has healed. Here we do not have to wait for the roots to appear because the succulent is already rooted and is in the soil. We have only cut the crown area, so after the wound has healed, we can go ahead and water. But for the crown area, we have to take some more precautions. So a lot of you guys had questions about the crown area, how to take care of it and when to water. Now guys, as soon as you cut the crown area, you have to make sure that the wound or the cut has to get healed. You can even use cinnamon powder to increase the process of drying. Now guys, you have to just loosely place it over the dry soil and wait until the roots appear. Do not push it too deep into the soil because you won't be able to see the roots. Now after a couple of weeks, you can see that a lot of roots have been developed on this crown area. Now after this, you can go ahead and put it in the soil and start watering your succulents just like regular succulents. So guys, this is a very easy process. As I said, do not push the cut part too deep into the soil because you need to see when the roots appear and you can start watering. So guys, now that you understand that when there are no roots, you will not water the succulent, you will let it root and then water, because you know if there are no roots, the succulent will not be able to absorb the water, so there is no point watering. Tip number 8 are succulent accidents. Now guys, these are very common scenarios during the monsoon season. Because of heavy rainfall and strong winds, your succulent pots might get knocked off. Like you can see in my case as well, my succulent pot was knocked off because of strong winds. Fortunately, none of the succulents were damaged. It was only some soil spill and some chipped pot. So after a couple of weeks, the succulent revived back. You can see there has been a lot of new growth and there has been slight chipping on the pot. Apart from that, the arrangement looks quite healthy. Now a lot of people also say that their succulents are being eaten by birds. So guys, be very careful. In case if you notice that your succulents are being visited by birds, move your succulent pot away from that place, because when they tend to nip on those succulents, they tend to make cuts, and if you water that succulent, then there might be some problem to it. So ensure that you keep your succulents away from birds as well. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please consider subscribing to my channel. Until then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.